welcome to my channel. After having a little break from YouTube, I'm finally back, and I hope you guys are ready for some Christmas DIYs, because today I'll be sharing 4 rustic Christmas decor ideas that are all really easy to do. If you guys want to see how I created each project, then please keep watching. For DIY number 1, I'm making a Merry Christmas porch sign. For this one, I picked up a wood plank from Hobby Lobby. This one is from the Woodpile brand, and it is 48 inches by 9 inches and 1/8. Once I had the tag that was on the back of the wood plank off, I then started painting the entire thing with my Waverly chalk paint in the color Ivory. I did have to do 2 different coats of this paint to get everything covered up nicely the way I wanted it to be. Next, I'm going to be using some of these stencils that I picked up from Amazon. It did come in a pack of stencils and they were really inexpensive. I'm going to be using the one that says Merry on the very top of my sign, and I'm only going to be using the Merry part of this stencil that you see here. So I just centered that at the very top of my sign and then used some painter's tape on each side to hold it into place. I then started placing my letters that spell out the word Christmas right underneath the word Merry. I just want to make sure that those are centered in the middle of my sign before I tape them down. So once I have a couple of them, or a couple of the letters placed in the center, I then use some painter's tape on each side of the letters. And I just continued this step over and over until I had all of my letters to spell Christmas in the middle of my wood plank. Now that I have all of my stencils in place, I'm going to be painting over them. And for the word Merry, I'm using my Dollar Tree stencil brush, and then I'm also using my Folk Art chalk paint in the color Tuscan Red. I really love this color red because it's a little bit of a deeper red, and I really like that color for rustic Christmas decor. So once I have the word Merry all painted over, then I'm starting on my letters, and for those I'm doing with this same Tuscan Red color. And when I'm stenciling, I like to build up the color instead of using a ton of paint all at one time. You do get more bleed through with the more paint that's on your brush, so it's a good tip to use less paint and then just build that color up. I did have a little bit of a gap between each one of my letters, so I just went ahead and put some painter's tape over top of that gap so that I didn't get any of that red color on the base of my sign. And then once I was done painting each letter, I just pulled that painter's tape back up. Once I had everything all painted, I then started removing my stencils from my sign. You do want to wait for the paint to completely dry, just in case there was any on the stencil and you moved it around. It might get on the base of your sign and then leave red onto your white, which I kind of did. I didn't wait completely for the bottom of some of my letters to dry, and I smudged a little bit of my paint, so just make sure that you let that dry before removing the stencil. Next, I'm going to be using this Merry stencil once again, but I'm going to be using the bells and flowers that are on the stencil on the very bottom of my sign, right underneath the letter S. And for this, I'm using my Dollar Tree stencil brush, and I'm using the Folk Art chalk paint in the color Rich Black. I kind of wish I would have left this one red as well, but I didn't, so I just used that rich black color and I filled it all in with the paint. Once that was dry, I then pulled back the stencil. Because I wanted my sign to look a little bit more rustic, I used my truffle colored chalk paint from Waverly on a chip brush, and I dry brushed that color around all of the edges, and then I lightly painted that on the very front of my sign, going in vertical motions. And then, since this sign will be used outdoors, I'm using my Rust-Oleum Clear Matte Protective Sealer, and I'm just spraying this over the sign, and I did do a few different coats of this so that it stays nice and new looking and it'll hold up in the cold weather. And here is my Merry Christmas porch sign all finished. This one was super easy to do, and I really love those stencils that I picked up from Amazon. They were really inexpensive, so if you guys are interested in those, I will have them linked down in the description box. I really wish I could have paired this with some of my outdoor Christmas trees, but it is a little early and I don't want my new neighbors to think I'm crazy just yet. I really hope that you guys enjoyed that first DIY, but I do want to let you guys know that today's video is part of Heidi Sonbouls' Friend Friday Hop. If you are not familiar with her hop videos, all of the friends that are participating in today's hop will have a link down in their description box so that you can hop on over to the next friend's video, and then that friend will have a link down in their description box so that you can hop on to the next friend's video from there, and so on until you get through all of the friends' videos. So when you're done watching this video, make sure that you click on the link down in my description box so that you can hop on over to the next friend's video. But what I'm most excited for today is we are doing a giveaway. We are giving away a Cricut Joy and a bunch of accessories to go along with it. So it's gonna be perfect for any crafter that's watching this video. I know I would love to have one, and any of the crafters I know would also love to have one. So if you guys are gonna be entering the giveaway, all you have to do is go down in the comments and comment on each one of the friends' videos that are participating in today's hop. If you guys heard lots of noise, that was my son, and I've tried to film this a few times, so we're just gonna go with it. Now let's get right back into the DIYs for today. And now for DIY number 2, I'm making rustic tabletop trees. For this one, I'm using a scrap piece of wood that is 7 inches by 3 1/4 inch, and I'm using my Craft Smart wood stain in the color brown, and I just put that on a piece of paper towel and I'm applying it to my entire piece of wood. I'm doing the front, the back, and all of the sides as well. Next, I'm taking these 3 unfinished wooden ornaments that I picked up from Michael's. These are the Art Minds brand, and they were $1.99 a piece. And I picked them up in the section of the store at the very front by the registers where they have a lot of their inexpensive items. I'm just removing the tags off of the back of all 3 of them, and then I'm also removing the jute hanger that's on all of the trees. But I did leave in the little staple that was on the back side because it was in there pretty well and you're really not going to see it anyway. So once I had my trees all prepped, I then started painting one of them with my Waverly chalk paint in the color Ivory, and I only did 1 coat of this paint, but I did paint the front, the back, and all of the sides of this tree. Then I painted the second tree with my Folk Art chalk paint in the color Spanish Moss, and again, just 1 coat of that paint. And then for the third tree, I'm painting it with a Folk Art chalk paint in the color Tuscan Red. Now that my paint has dried on all 3 of my trees, I'm then using a piece of sandpaper to give them a more rustic look. You could skip this step if you're not really into the rustic look, but I really like that look. So I'm just using my sandpaper to sand away all of the paint around the edges, and then I just randomly sanded along the front side of the tree to give it that distressed rustic look. And I continued that same step for the red tree and then also the green tree as well. Now it's time to assemble everything together. I'm placing the white tree in the center of my stained piece of wood. To attach it, I'm using some hot glue on the very bottom of the tree, and then I'm just holding that into place until the glue completely dries. I'm then taking my other 2 trees and just kind of seeing exactly where I want them to be placed behind the white tree before I start gluing them down. And to attach them, I did them the same way I did the white tree. I just placed some hot glue on the bottom of each tree and then held them into place until the glue dried. To add a little bit more detail to my trees, I'm using some of these unfinished wooden stars that I picked up from Hobby Lobby. They are the Woodpile brand. To attach them to my trees, I placed hot glue on the back side of each star and then just stuck them right onto the tops of all 3 of my trees. And here are my finished rustic tabletop trees. I think they turned out super cute and they are just so simple. If you wanted to, you could add a little bit more of embellishments on the trees, but I really love the simplicity of these. Now moving right on into DIY number 3, I'm making a Merry Christmas tabletop sign. I'm using one of these square signs from Dollar Tree. This had the little circle thing that says "Welcome to the Jungle" in the middle, but it was already popped off. I'm not going to be using it for this project, so it worked out well that it was already popped off. And I'm just painting the very back of this square sign with my Folk Art chalk paint in the color Rich Black, but I'm being really careful around all of the inside edges because I want those to stay that natural wood look. I'm also going to be using these wood words that say Merry Christmas. I picked these ones up from the Target dollar spot last year. I'm not sure if they're going to have them again this year or not, but I had these ones left over from last year, so I figured why not use them. I'm painting them with my Waverly paint in the color Ivory, and I only had to do one coat of paint on both of the words. Another piece I'm going to be using in this project is this burlap reindeer. I did get this from Hobby Lobby. It came in a pack of burlap reindeer ornaments. This is part of their Christmas shop, and it was $2.99, and then I got half off of that, so really inexpensive for how many you get. I'm just cutting off the little hanger on the ornament because I'm not going to be needing that. And then to attach my reindeer, I'm using hot glue on the back side and then just pressing that down right in the center of my square sign. Next, I'm placing my words Merry Christmas that I've already painted on top of my reindeer. The words that I have already had like a sticky adhesive on the back side because they were wooden stickers. So I just peeled that backing off and then stuck the words down over top of the reindeer and just made sure that I pressed those on there very well. You could always use hot glue to attach them. Next, I'm using some of this greenery from the floral Christmas stems that I picked up from Walmart. I cut the little green leaves off pretty small, and then I used some hot glue on the back side of the leaves and then just attached those on the inside edge of my square sign. I'm also going to be using some of these pine cones from Dollar Tree. These are the little scented pine cones, and they actually are not too overpowering, so that's really nice. I placed hot glue on the bottom side of the pine cone and then just pressed that down over top of the green leaves. And then I added a few more leaves and pine cones to each side of the bottom of my square sign. By adding the greenery and the pine cones, I feel like it gave my sign just the right amount of detail, and then the pine cones really added the rustic feel that I was going for. And this is my Merry Christmas tabletop sign all finished. This one, again, super easy to do and really inexpensive to make as well. And now for the fourth and final DIY today, I'm making a rag tree. For this one, I'm using 3 different colors of fabric. I really loved the print on all 3 of these. These ones I picked up from Michael's, and they were $2.29 a piece. I know that you can get fat quarters just like this or similar to this at pretty much any craft store, and I think Dollar Tree even carries fat quarters. I know Walmart's are a little bit cheaper. They have them for I think like $1.49 a piece. Once I have my fabric tags all off, I just laid them out flat, and then I started cutting each fabric into strips. I'm not using the entire fat quarters for this project, just a few strips of each fabric color. I cut the strips in about, I would say, 1 inch in thickness. They don't have to be exact because you're really not going to be able to tell once they're around your tree. And then I cut them in half as well, and I would say that the strips were probably 1 inch in thickness by probably 8 inches in length. So I did that with the green color. I also did the same thing with the red color fabric and then also the white color fabric as well. Next, I'm taking this wood piece that I also picked up from Michael's, and I'm not really sure what that piece is called. If you guys know what that's called, please let me know in the comments down below. And I'm using a 1/4 inch dowel, and that 1/4 inch dowel fits perfect in the hole on that wood piece, so it worked out really nicely. I'm placing hot glue inside of that hole and then placing the dowel inside of that wood piece just to attach the two together. I'm then starting to make my tree. I did leave a few inches of the dowel showing from the bottom of that base, like what's going to be my tree base. And then I started tying each strip of fabric around the dowel. I started with the red one, then I did the white, then the green, and I kept rotating between all 3 colors. And when I tied each strip around, I did knot them. And then as I was tying each strand onto my wooden dowel, I kept the knots all going in the same direction. This is just going to give my tree a little bit of a more clean look. Even though it's a rag tree and it's kind of all over the place, I wanted to keep all of my knots in the same place. For the top around my tree, I'm using another one of these pine cones from Dollar Tree. I placed hot glue on the bottom of the pine cone and then just held that into place on the top of my tree until the glue was all dry. Originally, I was just going to have the unfinished wood look for the stem and base of my tree, but then I changed my mind, so I'm applying some of this Craftsmart wood stain in the color brown on the wooden dowel, which is the stem of my tree, or the tree trunk, I guess you could say, and I just used a piece of paper towel to apply that. Then for the base, I'm painting that with a Waverly paint in the color Ivory, and once that ivory color was all dry, I then took some of my truffle color chalk paint from Waverly, and I'm using just this little fan brush. This is just a brush I had laying around, and I'm using a little bit more paint around all of the grooves, and then for the rest of the base piece, whatever was left over on my brush, I just very lightly dry brushed that to give that base a rustic, distressed look. And here you have my rag tree all finished. Again, such a simple and easy project. And what I love about this one is you can switch up the colors of fabric to make it fit with your own decor. I really hope that you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to go down in my description box and click on the link so that you can go to the next Friends video in today's hop. And if you're entering today's giveaway, be sure to go to each Friends video in today's hop and leave a comment. Good luck to everybody that's entering the giveaway, and thank you so much for watching.